Ladies and gentlemen, here we are tonight. Not actually not a very happy night. And I wanted to make sure that I went live tonight because I want to be able to talk real time about what's going on in Ukraine. And guys, here's the skinny, here's the bottom line. The things that you're hearing from American media are skewing things in such a way that does not make Russia look that bad. I have to say it, guys. I've got an earpiece in right now, and I've got a feed right now to about 15 or 20 people that are getting live reports. They're fact checking. So as I hear these things, I'm going to pass these on to you, and we're going to go from there. The first thing that I want to point out, and this has pretty much been verified over the past 45 minutes or so. This is a picture of Ukraine here. And if we zoom in a little bit, we've got Russia kind of to the east, the northeast, and then we have Belarus to the north. At this point, Russia started most of this by attacking the airports all around Ukraine. I think there's about 20 airports at this point. At least 6 have been confirmed to have taken direct missile strikes, which is not just, Russia taking a portion of Ukraine, eastern Ukraine. They're trying to destroy the infrastructure. And now there have been many, many reports from multiple sources that say that Russia is now in conjunction with Belarus and their military. They are attacking from the north. So it seems like they are trying to squeeze into Kiev. There are many, many reports in Kiev from the mayor, etc., that there's been a lot of shelling in Kiev and major cities and outposts right now across Ukraine. So also, let's go ahead and point this out. We'll go to Twitter real quick. We'll go to Biden. President Biden just tweeted about 10 or 15 minutes ago. He said, President Zelenskyy reached out to me tonight. We just finished speaking. I condemned this unprovoked and unjustified attack by Russian military forces. I briefed him on the steps that we're taking to rally international condemnation, including tonight at the UN Security Council. He asked me to call on the leaders of the world to speak out clearly against President Putin's flagrant aggression and to stand with the people of Ukraine. Tomorrow, I will be meeting with the leaders of the G7 in the United States, and our allies and partners will be imposing severe sanctions on Russia. We will continue to provide support and assistance to Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. Russia alone is responsible for the death and destruction this attack will bring, and the United States and its allies and partners will respond in a united and decisive way. The world will hold Russia accountable. Chinese media just released, state media just released a statement basically saying that they do not support the movements against Russia by NATO and allied forces. And that's pretty interesting. Also, Iran essentially just announced that, they've been close to a nuclear deal. They're now backing off of that nuclear deal. That announcement came probably about 30 minutes ago. And they're not completely backing off. They just said, even though it's close to the finish line, that doesn't mean it's done. And my theory about that is they're trying to drive the price of oil way up. So they're going to want to stall to create that problem. That would be my guess on that. So I'm going to listen real quick. I've got an earpiece in. I'm going to see some of these new reports that are coming in so we can kind of hear and see what's going on here. And if you guys get any reports yourself, post here in chat. Air raid sirens going off. Let's see here. Let's check the map. Okay. Yeah, Chinese just opposed U.S. sanctions against Russia. So we kind of saw that too. Again, if you guys just hopped in here, I'm trying to listen in my earpiece here, I'm getting some up-to-date news from a bunch of different folks. So they are condemning U.S. sanctions against Russia. Chinese are currently. The thing that we need to look out for, in my opinion, too, is if the Chinese take this as an opportunity to target Taiwan, something that Crypto Heartbeat was talking about the past couple weeks, which kind of makes sense tactically, I think. We have reports, if you guys just joined here, that Russian forces have joined Belarus forces and pushing into northern Ukraine. And then we also have reports within the past 20 or 30 minutes that mechanized and armored units have officially crossed the border from Russia into Ukraine. So it seems like we might have a squeeze. And I'm listening right now. I'll check chat real quick. Yeah. Yeah. This was very interesting. Davis brought this up. Davis actually sent me this. He sent me a video of Vladimir Putin. I think it was in front of the UN Security Council or the UN body. And he basically said, listen, like, we know that compared to NATO forces, there's nothing that we're going to be able to do to overcome the firepower, between US and between France and UK, all those. He knows that, but then he's also made the point that we have a very substantial nuclear armament. So basically, in my mind, and this was said in that video, he's standing in front of a firing squad, Vladimir Putin is, but he's got his finger on a nuclear detonator. And he's saying, okay, you can shoot me, but as soon as I die, my thumb comes off that nuclear detonator and everybody blows up. And he specifically said that. Davis, if you've got that video, share it here in chat. All right. I'm listening right now. If you guys get any type of stuff, let me know. If you guys get any information about what's going on, let me know. Scott F. Well, here's what just happened. Ukraine is a sovereign constitutional state, and it just got invaded. It just got attacked on two borders. I mean, you can tell me what it's distracting us from. Let me know. But that type of shit should not happen. And a lot of the things that you're going to be hearing, you got so much misinformation swirling around the internet right now, especially in the US side, especially in the Associated Press side, the Reuters side. If you're able to cut through right now and go to the Ukrainian side, even Russia, etc., like Russia's, they're not denying it now, and they're coming up with excuses. Now, why does Russia have to come up with an excuse, a lie, to be able to invade? It's because it's two parts. You're not going to trick the international community, but you can trick your Russian citizens. You have to have support for this. You got to come up with some type of really big reason to move. I'm listening right now, guys. Hold on. So it looks like a pretty funny situation right now. It looks like this was not. Hold on. Hmm. So apparently, in the legislation that had to go through the legislative body in Russia 2 days ago to be able to push into Ukraine, there was a clause that allows for the annexation of foreign territory. So I'm not quite sure what that means. I've got some conjecture about that. It's pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look at. I want to take a look at U.S. futures here, and let's see what we got. Pre-market trading. Okay, Dow futures. Let's see here. Yeah, Dow futures are down about 2.2%, which is kind of interesting. Let's see, Halliburton. Halliburton's up about 1%. Nasdaq futures down 2.6. S&P 500 down 2.21, and Dow futures now down 2.20. Let's check Bitcoin here. All right, we're going to check Bitcoin first. Yeah, Bitcoin's down about 7%. All right. Ethereum's down about 10% currently. All right. All right, got it. All right, there are some reports that there is some bombing in Kosovo. They're unconfirmed, but it's the second or third that I've heard. So if we're looking at this, it's kind of very interesting. Let me get on a better map here. And I'll share this screen here. We'll go to Google Maps or Google Earth. Look at that. The Earth's round. Don't get pissed off, Davis. It's a pretty dire situation, folks. I mean, this is no joke. Okay. All right. We're going to go to, here it is. So this is kind of jacked up. How do I change this? Click this reset view. Okay. So it kind of looks like we got Belarus. This is actually, it looks like it's to the north, but it's to the east. I just can't figure out how to change the orientation of this on the fly right now. So if we go to, where is Kosovo? Let me find Kosovo here. All right. Interesting. We got Kosovo here. Kosovo, Serbia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary. So maybe Bosnia Herzegovina or Montenegro, maybe they're pushing into Kosovo, but it's not confirmed. I have heard a couple reports about that. So again, if you guys are just joining us, it's pretty much confirmed at this point that Russia has pushed in from the let me see here. It's pushed in from the north through Belarus. The Belarus military and the Russian military is pushed from the north. And it seems like they've also just had mechanized units cross the border from the east as well. So we could be pinching right now. All right. Let's check and see what CNN's saying. Actually, let's see oil prices. Current oil prices. It's very interesting. Interesting. Oil prices are up. The WTI crude is now up to 93. The Brent crude is up to 97. So we're inching up on $100 per barrel. And like I said, I assume that Iran is going to take advantage of the situation too. They're going to spread a lot of fear and FUD because they have access to the Straits of Hormuz. So if you guys are familiar with that, it's actually a really, I'll show you guys where it's at. Let me share the screen. So Straits of Hormuz, I got a cool story about this. This is in the Middle East, the Horn of Africa down here. You can go through the canal here. The Suez Canal from the Mediterranean. You can cut through the Gulf of Suez. I actually went up here through the Gulf of Aqaba into Jordan, back here in Jordan. Hold on, we got new breaking news. Let me hear this. Ukrainian military has just shot down 5 fixed-wing aircraft and 1 helicopter in eastern Ukraine. And Ukraine is now retaliating full force. All right, cool. All right, so if you go through here, you cut through the Mediterranean, the Suez Canal, you go out the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, you come up here just off the coast of Oman. There's a place called the Strait of Hormuz. To the north, you have Iran. Okay, to the south, I think you've got the UAE, United Arab Emirates, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, all that. Qatar to the left over here, we have a military installation in Qatar. But if you guys notice, this is a very, very small squeeze right here. Extremely small squeeze. So when the reason this is so important tactically is because it's something like 50 to 60% of the world's oil supply goes through this strait, right? So Iran knows this. If they want to cause trouble and they want to spike up oil prices, all they have to do is put a little bit of aggression out here. Just a little bit of aggression. Because if they shut down these straits, it's going to spike oil prices to the sky. So that's why we have such a big military presence in Qatar and Dubai and Abu Dhabi, UAE, because we're trying to keep this open. We've got Bahrain over here too. We were going through the Straits of Hormuz one night. I was on a ship, and I was on the bridge at the time, and we could hear over the radio. You know, it's a big deal when you're trying to cut through the Straits of Hormuz because they know you're coming. And every single time a U.S. ship comes through, they're going to use this opportunity to kind of, you know, just figure out where our boundaries are. We're going to figure out where their boundaries are. And I remember a pilot, an Iranian pilot coming over the radio of the bridge, basically talking to us and saying, something to the effect of American warship. You're in illegal waters. He kept saying that, like you could tell he was like, he couldn't speak English that well at all, but it was like in a mocking tone. It was really freaking weird to hear that. But the Straits of Hormuz, tactically, from a world point of view, this is a very, very important place in the whole world here. So for Iran to be kind of bucking the nuclear agreement, nuclear deal that they're coming close to fulfilling, that could be an indication that they're trying to create more pressure on the Biden administration. So let's cut over here. Let's cut over here to Ukraine. And I'm going to check chat here. And you guys did not see the Straits of Hormuz. Let me take you back down here. So here's what I was talking about. We zoom out. We got Africa here, North Africa. We got the Horn of Africa here. You come around through the Red Sea. You got Djibouti. You got Yemen, Oman. And you come up here, and here's the Straits. Very, very small. If I remember correctly, was it 30 miles? Or was it like 70 miles? Can I measure this? I'm sure I can measure it, but yeah, measure. All right, let's measure this. So from the furthest landmass to here, it's about 70 miles. And that's a really, really scary place to be if you're a giant warship. That's it's a rough place. So that's where all that oil passes through. And up here, you go back through here, you can go back into Kuwait, and then right across the border from Kuwait is Iraq, Basra. So I did spend a little bit of time in Kuwait and a little bit of time in southern Iraq. I went to a place called Camp Cupcake because this place was better than most Midwestern towns, just to tell you the truth. They're freaking Baskin Robbins and Whoppers and McDonald's. It was crazy. And really good chicken wings. It was really hot and it sucked. And you had to drive about an hour out in the middle of the desert to go to the shooting range. But otherwise, it was pretty cool. All right. Let's check chat here. And while I'm checking chat, I'm going to be a little bit quiet because I'm listening in my earpiece to some of these live reports that are coming in. So here's the issue too. We're feeding Ukraine. We're giving them a lot of weapons to defend themselves. But the issue is we're trying to keep NATO troops away from it, because the second that a NATO troop loses their life or NATO asset loses their life, then we're just pulled into a conflict, and Russia knows that. So we're trying to be careful right now. But it turns out that they're not just trying to take eastern Ukraine. From all the reports that are coming in, this is a full-scale invasion from their eastern border and their northern border via Belarus. Where they're the north. Let's check. Yeah. Belarus is here. Belarus forces, in conjunction with Russian forces, have pushed through here. Kiev is right here. We've had I'm hearing some more reports. I think they have about 20 major airfields in the country. I think about 8 have been confirmed hit at this point, which is no joke. So it's funny in this chat right now. I got this guy talking about people think across the world that Ukraine is a member of NATO. And it's like he's totally glossing over the fact that they're a sovereign country, and he's excusing the fact that Russia is attacking them by trying to make the argument that Ukraine's not a NATO country. It's crazy, man. Somalian bombing. Let's check Somalian bombing. Somalian bombing. Four days ago, suicide bombing, 14 killed in Somali restaurant. Mogadishu. Well, that's normal out there, unfortunately. Okay. Going through comments here. Chuck Geo says there's a cost to defend democracy. Yep, it's $6 to $7 a gallon of gas. They want Europe prices in the USA. Thanks, Joe. Let's go, Brandon. All right. This is a good buy now. There's almost max fear, almost for nothing. I wouldn't say almost for nothing. That's so true. How can you believe news media? How can you? I'm getting, here's what's crazy. The stuff that I've been hearing on Twitter Spaces is quicker, and it seems to be, well, I'm not going to say more accurate. It's definitely faster. And I think that's because the media at large, they have to confirm these reports before they share it. And you don't have that filter with Twitter. So you got to kind of break things down a little bit. All right. CNN falsely reported an American reporter was killed. Of course they did. Freaking CNN. Let's check. Let's see if we can find that article. Dumbasses. CNN reporter killed Ukraine. Russian television reporter. What are they saying? CNN war correspondent in Kiev hears explosions as he scrambles to put on his protective vest live on TV. Why the hell don't you have your protective vest on, dumbass? Freaking idiot, man. And he's talking to Don Lemon. I bet Don just was like hyping that up. EU condemns use of heavy weaponry and indiscriminate shelling of civilian areas in eastern Ukraine. The EU urged Russia to de-escalate by substantially withdrawing military forces from near its border with Ukraine. And this was at 7:58 p.m. and it doesn't look like it's been updated. This is old news, really. Let's check. All right, let's check what we got here. 69 people, 67 people watching. We can't see the map again. Sorry about that, buddy. All right, so let's show the map for you guys that are just checking it out in here. Okay. So you've got Ukraine here. I'm going to zoom out so you can see the borders. You got Ukraine here. You got the Black Sea to the south. You have Russia to the east. You have Belarus and you have Poland. I think that's Poland. Warsaw's Poland, right? Yeah, Poland. You've got Slovakia, Hungary, Romania. So what do we have here is it's been confirmed that Russia is in conjunction with Belarus has squeezed towards Kiev, which is the capital. And also Russian mechanized units have actually crossed the border here. It sounds like, from what I heard, a little bit of an update, about 8 airports have been hit, major airports out of 20 across Ukraine, which is pretty interesting because everybody thought they would just go to try to take eastern Ukraine. But it seems like this is a 2-border push, which seems like, I don't know, I don't want to use the word, but it seems like an invasion. Are they going to take Kiev? Is that what they're going to do? Is that what's happening? They're moving really, really quick these last couple hours. Really, really quick. CNN, this is just old. What is going on? Updated, no way. Updated February 20th at 3:50 a.m. What? Let's go to CNN.com. That doesn't make any sense. All right, let me share this screen. See if I can share this too. All right, we'll go to CNN.com there. Russia attacks Ukraine. Blasts are being heard near multiple cities. CNN has seen via live stream troops and military vehicles entering from Belarus. There's that report. Oil looks like oil does hit 100. U.S. stock futures slide. So let's go to stock futures again. Let's check this out. All right. Let me take this comment off. All right. So stock futures. All right. Oil. Yeah, okay. Oil hits 100. Stock futures sink. Pre-market stock trading. All right, it was down about 2% earlier. It's been flat. It's about NASDAQ is down to 2.45%. I think we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. We're trying to see what types of moves that the U.S. is going to make. Let's check the stocks and see. Let's check all these futures. Yeah, let's check the Asian markets too. Okay. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index declined 3.2%. Korea's Kospi dropped 2.7%. I guess if you're going to put this in terms of crypto, because most of you guys are familiar, that's about a 10% drop. It's like an 8 to 10% drop. All right. And here's the problem too. We're going to start hearing a lot of blackouts right now from that country. And that's simply because Russia is targeting the infrastructure, targeting the cellular communications, the fiber lines, like all of that. They've got to control the messages coming out. And even it's been pointed out that in this Twitter space that I'm in right now, all the people who are actually in Ukraine that were talking to us, they're now like radio silent over the past 30 minutes, which kind of sucks. It's no joke. Russia not attacking Ukraine where NATO terrorists are. That's all. I don't think so. If they kill NATO, then we get into big trouble here. Scott says we're just watching a movie. Yeah. Yeah, here's that quote that we were talking about. Putin said, whoever tries to interfere with us, and even more so to create threats in our country to our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate and will lead you to such. And right before that, he talks about, it would lead you to such sequences as you have never experienced in your history. We are ready for any development of events. Okay. I don't believe him either, Finn Bear. I do not believe him either. Yeah, it looks like most of the communication now in and out of Kiev, for example, has been cut off. There's not a lot coming out now. Interesting. Hi, mate. Ukraine is a deep state fear factory for the masses of sheep, promoting a fake war, money laundering, and corruption on a massive scale. Look no further than Hunter Biden. I don't really care. I don't care. What is that justified? Like, is that what you're trying to say? A sovereign state is being pushed into by Russia. I don't think there's any question about that at this point. Going into eastern Ukraine as a Western army is suicide. Uh, maybe not. NATO is the problem. Interesting. NATO is the problem here, folks. NATO is the problem. Don't mess with Putin, they say. Maybe it's all fake. We'll see. We'll see how the stock market reacts. If we're in some big simulation, maybe it is all fake. And the stock market crashes, it's all BS. Maybe Bitcoin crashes, it's all fake. Let's see what else they got to say here. All right. Let's go to what is the Russian news? Is it RT? Is that what it is? Let's go to TASS, Russian news agency. Let's check this. I checked this the other day. Let's see what the headlines are. Putin declares beginning. So this is a Russian news media outlet. Putin declares beginning of military operation in Donbass. The Russian leader said Moscow would seek the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, called upon the Ukrainian army to lay down weapons, and warned there would follow a prompt response to attempts at sovereign intervention from the outside. Okay, interesting. He said that Moscow would seek, okay, blah, 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 blah. Right after that, there followed reports of sounds of explosions in a number of Ukrainian cities, including Kiev and Kharkov. Where is Kharkov? Let me check and see. Google Maps. Find where Kharkov is, because we can confirm where there actually is war right now. All right, Kharkov. Okay. Kharkov is right across the border, the eastern border. It's like a major city right across the eastern border. I would say maybe at 100 miles? Let me measure this. 40 miles from the Russian border. So it looks like that has been hit. Okay. Are you kidding me? Okay. So apparently they're shelling in Lviv. All right, let me show you guys this. This is important. This is Google Earth. Very interesting. Okay, if this is true now, there's reports of shelling in Lviv, which is the western border. Okay. Just kind of listening at the same time. So we got shelling on the western border. We've got Belarus and Russian troops on the northern border. And it sounds like we have Russian mechanized units have crossed from the eastern border as well. It looks like they're probably going for Kiev. They're squeezing from all sides right now. Very, very, very interesting right now. Let's check. All right. How similar is the situation to China and Hong Kong? I think it's a very similar situation. It's pretty interesting. They want to take back Ukraine. Russia wants to take back Ukraine. China wants to take back, well, China wants to take back Taiwan, really. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go to rt.com and figure out what's going on there, see what they're saying. Hope all those troops are vaxxed. Wouldn't want to spread COVID, U.S. warmongering. It's okay when USA goes into a country and destroys it for democracy and we should be shocked by this. What about Ukraine wasn't democracy? What about Ukraine was tyranny and oppression? Maybe you can educate me there and educate the chat. Doesn't make much sense. All right. Yeah, there's a no-fly zone that's been implemented. No commercial flights over the entire country of Ukraine. All flights being routed around Ukraine. All right. Too many does stabbing there. Thank you, Dragon Black Man. I have no idea what this dude's saying, but he's out. Yeah, we're not doing that. All right. Let's cancel. All right, let's go to RT. We'll share that. Share screen. I'll show these tips again. Go here, go here, go Google Earth. All right. And we'll add this to stream. And we'll go to RT. Russian television. Breaking news shows podcast. Let's see. Fighting raging in Donbass. Where the hell is Donbass? All right, Donbass. Donbass, Ukraine. Where is this? Okay, Donbass, Ukraine is actually far southern. And very interesting. So we basically have all of Ukraine's borders with the exception of its southern border is being attacked right now. So it doesn't seem like just one little simple land grab. It looks like they're trying to take Ukraine. That's what we're seeing right now. All right, back to RT. Let's see what they say here. So Russian, the Russian media here is reporting Ukrainian air defense system suppressed. Fierce fighting has broke out between Ukrainian forces and troops loyal to the breakaway public of Donetsk. The spokesman for the separatist region's militia announced on Thursday morning. Right. In a statement, Edward Basurin said, In a statement, Edward Basurin said the armed forces of Donetsk's People Republic are attacking the positions of the Ukrainian army along the entire line of contact, using every means of destruction available to them. Earlier the same morning, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced it had begun strikes against military targets across Ukraine with explosions heard in major cities. The news came after Russian President Vladimir Putin signed an order authorizing immediate use of force as part of a special operation in Donbass. Citing requests from local leaders for support, Putin said he would take decisive and immediate action to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. Oh, interesting. Denazify. So he's playing on the people's heartstrings there. They certainly can relate to denazify. The Russian people can. Kiev's foreign minister Dmitry Kuleba issued a statement in which he declared that Moscow has just launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. According to him, this is a war of aggression. Ukraine will defend itself and win, he insisted. The world can and must stop Putin. The time to act is now. On Monday night, the Russian president announced he would recognize the two breakaway regions of Donetsk and Lugansk as independent states. Both declare their autonomy from Kiev in the wake of the 2014 Maidan and have been locked in a standoff with government forces since then. According to Putin, diplomatic efforts to resolve the dispute have failed. Okay. So where is Lugansk? Let's check and see where Lugansk is. Lugansk. And I'll pull it up on the map so you guys can see it in a second. Where's Lugansk? Well, that doesn't freaking help. Give me some context here. All right, let's find Lugansk. Lugansk again. That does not help. We'll go back. Go back. Maps, Lugansk. Where you at, Lugansk? Okay. Interesting. Okay, that makes sense now, kind of. So Lugansk is that makes sense. All right. So if I take you guys here, Google Maps. And I've been watching this guy that actually Davis hit me with, and he is a reporter down there in, I believe in Lugansk. Where are we? Ukraine? Okay, there we are. So Lugansk is right here. So that makes sense that we have shelling, heavy fighting down here in this region. And from what I understand, Lugansk, I wonder what borders are going to be drawn if they're an independent state. So Russia's trying to take this area as well. Okay, that makes sense. All right, let's go back to RT. Go to. You guys see that? All right. All right, let's go back. No, forward. All right, and we'll go to question. Russian. All right, here it goes. Russia has no plans to take over the whole of Ukraine. Moscow, and this was February 24th at 0433. So what is that? Russia is what, like plus? Russia's like plus GMT +4 maybe, for +5. Okay, it's about 10 hours from us, 12 hours more or less. So they're saying that Moscow says it does not intend to capture all of Ukraine, but would seek its denazification and demilitarization. Russian President Vladimir Putin has claimed that Russia has no plans to occupy the Ukrainian territory after announcing that a special operation was launched to defend the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics from Ukrainian aggression. The operation's ultimate goal is to protect the people who've been subjected for 8 years to genocide by the Kiev regime. Putin said in an address on Thursday morning, adding that Moscow would embark on a demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine and handing over to justice those who have committed numerous atrocities against civilians. The Russian president noted, however, that Moscow harbors no far-reaching plans to take over the whole territory of Ukraine. We do not have plans to occupy Ukrainian territories. We're not going to impose anything on anyone by force. That's not aging well. Ukrainian has been accusing Russia of illegally occupying Crimea, which was reabsorbed by Russia following a referendum in March of 2014, following the U.S.-backed coup that overthrew the elected government in Kiev. Kiev has also repeatedly accused Russia of having a military presence in Donbass, although Moscow consistently denied this claim. All right. Let's go. All right. Full-scale invasion of Ukraine underway. What is this? The country's top diplomat has called on the international community for support. Russia has announced a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Kiev's foreign minister has declared, as Moscow confirms, it has hit military targets in the country moments after the Kremlin issued an order for a special operation in the breakaway Donbass region. But here's the problem. I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but why do we have so much military presence on the western border, the northern border, the eastern, and the southeastern, if that's just the case? If that's just the case, we don't know. All right, here's your reply. We use democracy as an excuse to invade countries, just like Russia uses communism to reunify a country that was at least part of Russia at one time. Just answer my question. Were they a sovereign state or not? Were they a recognized sovereign state? Just answer that question. So you're justifying this. What does this say? Al Jazeera.com news. Israel fires missiles on border positions inside Syria. I saw that. I think that's a couple days ago, though, right? I saw that as well. All right. Go to the Y2 YouTube channel, the Duran. That's where you get the real story. Yeah, I've been going there. I wonder if he's posted anything. Let's check. YouTube.com. The Duran. Well, I'm not going to go there. Let's see here, Siri. Trying to see. Trying to check out. Where is this place? Dang it. There's another guy that I've been watching, and he's actually on the border there in Duransk or whatever. Davis, are you there, man? What's that dude's name? All right. Long story. What does Ukraine want to do? I don't know what Ukraine wants to do. They probably don't want to get jacked up. And right now it looks like they're getting jacked up, I think. All right, let's go back. Go to RT. All right, let's click this. Ukrainian air defense systems are destroyed. All right, interesting. A lightning offensive has crippled the Ukrainian military, Moscow claims. Russia has taken out Ukraine's air defenses and air force with a series of precision attacks, the country's defense ministry says in a statement, after airports and runways across the country were rocked by explosions. Officials also claimed on Thursday morning that Ukrainian border guards are not resisting advancing Russian troops who have moved in after President Vladimir Putin signed in an order to begin a special operation in the Donbass region. At the same time, officials denied claims that Kiev's defense chiefs that Russia had lost at least one military plane over the country during the offensive. In an earlier statement, the Russian ministry reported conducting precision strikes at elements of the Ukraine's military infrastructure. Russia launched an attack on Ukraine on Thursday morning on the orders of President Vladimir Putin. He said the goal of the operation was to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. The Russian leader claimed military action was necessary to stop Ukrainian attacks on two break. All right, let's go to let's try to find Ukrainian news. I think should show up on my history. Ukrainian news agency. Yeah, this is it. All right, let's see what they're saying. Okay. So this is a Ukrainian news agency. On February 24th at 0500, the Russian armed forces started the massive shelling. And this is translated, guys. Actually, I don't think this website was translated. They had this in English. The Russian website wasn't. Today, February 24th at 0500, the armed forces of the Russian Federation started the massive shelling of our units in the east. Okay, so that eastern border. And are carrying out rocket and bomb attacks on airfields in Borispil, Ozim. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, about 6 or 7 airfields, as well as in military facilities of the Ukrainian armed forces. At the same time, the aggressor began artillery shelling of the territory and settlements of Ukraine along the state border. According to the report, Ukrainian Air Force is repelling an air attack by the invader. The state defense forces are in a full combat readiness, have taken and are holding defensive positions. The situation is under control. So that's what they're reporting. What does this say? Ooh. That's interesting. Let's see if it was just a one-time thing. And okay, that went through. Vaskov Air Base has come under fire. Vaskov Mayor Natalia Balashnovich has stated on her Facebook page, "Dear fellow townsmen, our airdrome in Vasilik has come under fire. It's not yet known exactly what weaponry was used." She called on citizens to stay calm. All of you have bomb shelter maps. Please use them. A reminder that the Ukrainian Foreign Affairs Minister Dmytro Kuleba stated earlier that Putin had launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Let's see what time it is. All right, what time is it in Ukraine? It's 8:38 a.m. So this report was about 45 minutes ago. Ukraine closes its airspace. That's about an hour ago. Biden, United States allies announced sanctions against against Russia on Thursday. Ukrainian military facilities attacked. All right. 0600 about 2 hours ago for them. This was the report. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he has decided to conduct a special military operation to protect Donbass. He said this during a televised address in the early hours of Thursday, February 24th. According to him, Russia does not intend to occupy Ukrainian territories. At the same time, the Russian Federation considers it important that the right to self-determination could be exercised by the peoples of Ukraine. Putin blamed the Ukrainian regime for the possible bloodshed. As previously reported, the leaders of pro-Russian illegal groups of the so-called DPR and LPR appealed to Putin with an official request to assist them in the armed resistance of the Ukrainian army. See what Chad has to say right now. We got about 70 people here in chat. Interesting. You guys care about this. That's good. I'm glad that you guys care about this. A lot of people don't. My mind was blown a little bit when I saw so many people talking about crypto and not what's actually going on serious in the world right now. Brandon, do you want endless U.S. occupation throughout the world? Endless U.S. occupation throughout the world. Endless U.S. occupation throughout the world. What's my alternative? What's my alternative? Outmatched. Davis says, hold on. Okay. Hard finding good info. Extremely difficult. Yeah. Patrick Lancaster. This is this dude on YouTube he's on the southeastern border of Ukraine. Let's check him out. Patrick Lancaster. And I'm willing to assume that he can't get anything in or out right now. Yeah. He's in Donetsk. Yeah, his last here was 16 hours ago. That was his last post. So if you guys want to check him out, go check out Patrick Lancaster. It's Patrick Lancaster on YouTube. He's got about 67,000 subs. And he's reporting directly. No editing, anything like that. So you can learn a lot. I've been watching him and being able to see what's actually happening at the border, etc. It does look like it's a land grab to me. It could not be. Ukraine has been bombing those breakaway republics. Russia stepping in to protect people he's not invading, just recognize them as republics. And they invited Russia to protect them. Well, I've been watching Patrick Lancaster, and he's in the Donetsk region. And there has been a lot of shelling by Ukraine over the past, I don't know, probably like week or two, maybe about a week. But my question is, why would they be shelling civilians for no reason? And in my estimation, it's probably because, and this is just a guess, I would say that like Russian military has been staging, I think, up to 160,000 troops now all across the border, spread across the border of Ukraine. So I'm sure that there were preparations for this push, and maybe that's why people were being shelled. Or maybe not. Okay. Okay, I guess the US was right with this prediction while everyone was mocking them a few days ago. You're right. They came out straight up and said an attack is imminent, and everybody laughed at them. Well, our intelligence agency came out, and then the media just made fun of them relentlessly. The US media, I don't know who else. That's just what I was watching. I'm going to put my earpiece in, see if we got anything new. All right, I'm listening right now. The Western media has been trying to goad Russia into invading, but Russia hasn't been taking the bait because they don't want to invade. There was a Minsk agreement they wanted implemented. I'm not justifying this aggression, just stating that the USA does the same. Was Libya a sovereign country? Yes, they were. Ukraine, although they, France, and Germany signed it, hasn't implemented it, probably on orders from the US. Yeah, we are. Somebody just made the point in chat that we're going to find out within the next 24 to 48 hours exactly what type of president, United States president, that we're dealing with. We're going to find out real quick. Al Jazeera is driving into Ukraine airport now. Gold spikes up 1.6. Yeah, let's check. Love you, Rags. Thank you. Let's check here real quick. I want to check the futures again. Stock futures. All right. Pre-market trading down 2%. 2.5. All right. Nasdaq's now down 2.56%. S&P and Dow are pretty flat. Same thing, down about 2%. Currencies are flat. Bitcoin is down 7%. Commodities, all the commodities are up. Obviously, commodities are going to be up right now. Gold's up about 1%, corn 5%, crude oil 5%, crude oil 5%. Of course, those costs are going to go up because supply gets constrained in times of crisis. Everybody wants to hold on, and make that money, honey. All right, that's what we're doing there. All right, let's check oil prices. All right. Crude oil prices today. Okay, so Brent has gone up now over $100 a barrel to 102. And WTI crude went up another 1 or 2%. And that is up to $97 now. This is the highest amount. This is the highest amount that we have seen all year. In fact, our low happened back in April of 21. So we're on a tear right now. All right. The uncomfortable truth about sanctioning Russia. Russia's decision to recognize the independence of two cities in Ukraine and send troops over the border has triggered a slew of sanctions from the West, These sanctions include the suspension of the certification of the Nord Stream 2 and the freezing of assets associated with some banks and wealthy individuals. The reason this first round of sanctions is relatively light is twofold. The West wants to maintain some leverage over Russia and has very limited options. This week, Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz ordered the suspension of the certification process for the Nord Stream 2, the Russian gas pipeline that would have significantly boosted the supply of Russian gas to Germany. The move came in response to Russia's decision to recognize the two breakaway Ukrainian regions of Luhansk and Donetsk as independent republics, and following the decision to send Russian troops there, which the Kremlin claimed was for peacekeeping purposes. All EU governments, the UK and the United States, announced the move and threatened sanctions. The UK and the US later declared some, but oddly enough, none of the sanctions targeted Russia's massive energy industry. The UK, in its sanction drive, froze assets of 5 Russian banks and 3 Russian individuals. The UK Parliament also said it would target with sanctions the Russian MPs who voted in favor of the recognition of Luhansk and Donetsk and said it would ban British companies from doing business in the two regions. The U.S. sanctions, as announced by President Joe Biden, included putting 2 big Russian banks and what he termed Russian elites and their families on the U.S. specially designated nationals list, which effectively cuts off access of these individuals to the U.S. financial system. The other target was Russian sovereign debt. As Biden told reporters on Tuesday, the sanctions against Moscow basically prevented it from borrowing abroad, a move that sent shockwaves across the debt trading industry. But why did nobody sanction Russian oil or gas or metals? First, there's a lot of big, important Western companies working in Russia oil and gas and metals. Second, Russia is a major global commodity supplier, and sanctions would disrupt an already shaken global economy. Shell, BP, and Exxon are the biggest oil majors with Russian businesses. BP is most intimately linked to Moscow with a 25% stake in state oil major Rosneft. Commodity trading leaders, including Vital, Glencore, and Trafigura, are also among Moscow's business partners. Extensive sanctions would be problematic for the energy sector. So that's it, man. This is very complicated. This is complicated stuff. What all this means is that for all the sanction threats the US, the UK, and the EU have considered in the past couple months, their hands are, to a pretty significant extent, tied, unless, of course, Washington, London, and Brussels are ready and willing to add more price pain for industries they are prioritizing in their economic plans, such as renewable energy and EV manufacturing. Let's see what these guys are saying. Okay, Ukraine has been used by US and EU as a way to pour money into it and give their children. Interesting. We don't need NATO for anything. Let's see here. Listening. All right, President Zelenskyy just tweeted, apparently. Let's check. All right. He says, I continue negotiations with the leaders, received support from the Emir of Qatar. The world is with us. All right. Talked to the President of the United States. I talked to the German Chancellor. Talked to Boris Johnson, a couple others. Urged to stop Putin. War against Ukraine and the world immediately. Building an anti-Putin coalition. Immediate sanctions. Defense and financial support to Ukraine. Close the airspace. The world must force Russia into peace. This happened 9 hours ago. As a follow-up to the dialogue with Emmanuel Macron, thanked for the decision to provide individual defense equipment and demining systems to Ukraine, urged France as the country presiding the UN Council to provide macro financial support. Appreciate France for staying with Ukraine in the hard times. All right. Let's see if there's any new stuff. This is 8:06. I will refresh. Something has triggered an error on your website. Let's try again. Either the servers are completely down or there's just a massive amount of traffic. It looks like it's down. Interesting. Let's go back here. The entire website's down. Cannot get to the Ukrainian website at all. This is a major news website for them. Interesting. All right, let's go to the American news media. Let's see what the hell they're saying. Russia launches attack in Ukraine. And you got to love this. Thank you, MSNBC. It's sure time to admit the obvious. Trump sure is acting like a Russian agent. Oh my God, dude. This is just disgusting. That's why I hate wading into stuff like this. Just hate it. It's complete garbage, man. But let's see. Russia's attacking Ukraine. Here's why Putin pulled the trigger. Oh, please enlighten us. Why did Putin pull the trigger? I bet it was Ukraine's fault. It's finally happening. After weeks of buildup, troops along the Ukraine's border and diplomatic brawling with the West, Russia has formally announced plans to attack its neighbor. Just before dawn on Thursday in Moscow, President Vladimir Putin announced Russia will conduct military operations in eastern Ukraine. Ukraine declared a state of emergency, and there were reports of explosions in the former Ukrainian or Soviet Republic. Ukraine was not looking to fight its far more powerful neighbor and had already been struggling to deal with Russian-backed separatist rebellions in its southern Donbass region. So why did Moscow decide to risk potentially severe punishment from the international community? Experts do not share a consensus about what motivated Russia to make its move, but there are a number of non-mutually exclusive factors that likely fueled the situation. Much of it has to do with long-held concerns that Russia has had about security in the region and its fear of Ukraine becoming increasingly independent from its influence. Then there's the element of timing. It appears Putin calculated that he had the strategic upper hand and decided this was a particularly good time to strike to advance his interests. Yeah. Right after the Olympics, right? Here's a brief rundown of what happened. In December, Russians sent a letter of security demands to the U.S. calling for, among other things, a halt to NATO's eastward expansion right up to its borders, ending Western military assistance to Ukraine, removing NATO troops and bases from former Soviet Union territory, and a ban on intermediate range missiles in Europe, and it threatened to use military force if its demands were not met diplomatically. The major item Russia is particularly concerned about is the looming prospect of Ukraine entering NATO, a possibility that's been floated by the U.S. for many years, but for which there is no clear timeline. Anatol Lievin, the senior research fellow in Russia and Europe at the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft, and the author of Ukraine and Russia, A Fraternal Rivalry, has likened that possibility to Mexico entering military alliances with China, a development that would be, of course, deeply alarming for the U.S. This is a concern that predates Putin. Russia has long expressed warnings that NATO expansionism could trigger war. Since the beginning of NATO expansion in the mid-90s, when Russia had a very different government under Boris Yeltsin, the Russian government and the Russian commentators and officials opposed NATO enlargement, but also warned that if this went as far as taking Georgia and Ukraine, that there would be confrontation and strong likelihood of war. They said that explicitly over and over again. So this is not about Putin. Russian foreign policy establishment as a whole has long considered Ukraine joining NATO to be a major threat, and militarily dominating Ukraine is a potential way to forestall that possibility. Russia is unsettled by Ukrainian independence and democracy. Regional analysts have also pointed out that Russia fears how Ukraine's status as a democracy, which has allowed it to develop an increasingly anti-Russian orientation in recent years, poses a threat to Russian influence over its neighbors, as well as Russia's own internal stability. Putin was a KGB officer in East Germany when the Soviet Union collapsed. That experience has shaped his perceptions of the threats that emerged from street movements, protests, and anti-authoritarian rhetoric. When Putin considers Ukraine, which has been two major pro-democracy uprisings, the last of which led to the ouster of the pro-Russian president of Ukraine in 2014, he sees a country with which Russia has a rich historical and cultural ties moving irreversibly out of its sphere of influence. In fact, he also fears Ukraine's influence on Russia. The emergence of a genuinely independent and democratic Ukraine is viewed by many in the Kremlin as a direct attack on Russia's imperial identity and an existential threat to the country's authoritarian system of government. For a generation of Russian leaders still haunted by the pro-democracy uprisings that sparked the collapse of the USSR, the rise of European Ukraine looks ominously like the next stage in a nightmare scenario stretching all the way back to the fall of the Berlin Wall. That's the first paragraph and sentence that's ever made sense to me as to why Russians freaked out. That makes sense to me now. He recognizes that as Ukrainian democracy matures and consolidates, it will inevitably inspire demands for similar change within Russia itself. That's a good point too. It's very difficult to have two states that are so diametrically, like culturally, politically, ideologically different. It's hard to have them be together, because one of those states, that those ideas and all, they're contagious and they'll cross borders, and that can lead to the downfall of one of those states. Russia knows it has an unusually strong hand at this moment. Energy prices are rising around the world, and the surge is particularly big in Europe, where many countries are dependent on Russian natural gas for things like heating their home. Analysts say sanctions against Russia could cause an energy crisis in Europe on the scale of the 1970s oil crisis. That's why we've seen hesitation from the Germans on joining threats to sanction Russia into oblivion if it entered into Ukraine. Moscow knows Europe's hands are tied to some extent, making the incursion less costly now than it might be at another moment. All right, I'm going to plug in here and listen. All right. All right. Explosions, gunfire, fight. Let's see what happens the rest of the day. NATO is the arm of the NWO. Follow Dmitry Orlov, Russian-American independent journalist. Thank you. NATO industrial military complex. Yeah. I found it funny. Who is this? Who is Halliburton? Halliburton's spiking right now. We saw that coming. That is no news to us. All right. Pray for peace. We need to pray for peace. Eastern Ukraine is mainly Russian speaking. West Ukraine are oligarchs in bed with the US and EU. They keep promising that they can join NATO, but it's a red line for Russia. The Ukrainian president told Biden, shut up about war being inevitable. I didn't see that one. Let's fact check that. Ukrainian president mocked Biden war. This was on January 29th. Okay, so Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy downplays the U.S. assessment of imminent Russian invasion. As General Mark Milley warns of a full attack would be horrific and bring significant amount of casualties. So this, we say on the 29th of January. Zelenskyy said on Friday he chided world leaders for their public statements about a Russian invasion. He says, we don't need this panic. He also criticized decisions by nations to pull diplomats out of Kiev. Milley warned of horrific consequences if Russia put its 100,000 plus force to work on an invasion. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs urged Russia to pursue diplomacy. Moves come after Zelenskyy urged Biden to tone down the rhetoric about the invasion. Sources said he warned Kiev could get sacked, but White House disputed that account, saying that report was untrue. Security spokesman said Biden told Zelenskyy there is a distinct possibility that the Russians could invade Ukraine in February. Biden is thought to have based his assessments on intelligence, which suggests Putin is waiting for cold weather that would freeze the ground solid so his tanks can move more easy, likely to arrive in February. Russia has amassed more than 100,000 troops, and at this point, the reports today were like 160,000. UK intelligence sources suggest Putin will continue massing forces for 2 or 3 more weeks before attacking, which is what happened. Attacks could come from Belarus aimed at Kiev, coupled with amphibious assault from Crimea on the port city of Odessa to split Ukrainian forces before tens of thousands of troops roll in from the east. That's what's happening. Interesting. Australia is closer to a communist country than what you think Russia is, Rags. Trust me, mate, I'm living in this nightmare right now. China is more of a threat. I think China is more of a threat, sure. And I do think they're pretty staunch socialists, it seems. A lot of places there. They're not communist yet. I would say that the USSR definitely carries the same types of mentalities at the fall of the Berlin Wall as they do now, especially like those guys that grew up in that, they are now the leaders of Russia, and they are like an authoritarian, capitalist, socialist, weird freaking conglomerate of all sorts of stuff, but it doesn't seem like it's very good stuff. But I don't know a lot, guys. The cool thing is I'm live streaming right now, and I'm learning with you guys, trying to understand what's going on in my world. Let's see. Stock futures have eased a bit. Let's go, Brandon Jimbo. The way Biden handled Afghanistan, only the devil knows how he will handle Russia. I'm not the type of guy that says, peace and love, and I want peace. Don't get me wrong. But are there any consequences for this? I mean, has Ukraine been bombing these regions for years and years and years, or did it just start over the past? So what's that play? All right. Report Ukraine shelling Donbass or Donetsk. All right. So essentially it's they're talking about Donetsk, for example, and they're saying that Donetsk is full of a bunch of people who are kind of like separatists from Ukraine. They don't want to be involved. So everybody's saying that those people are getting slaughtered in Donetsk, and they have been. So let's check and see. All right, 4 days ago, stay calm. 5 days ago, Ukraine's shelling damaged waters. So this is all through February. All these reports are through February. Let's go back in time and let's just see if we get any reports of shelling in Donetsk or murder in Donetsk. And let's do in the past year. Again, let's go to Google search page 10. All right. Okay, so this is an article from 2021 by Nat Geo. I'm just going to scan through this real quick. Looks like there was some infighting in 2014, but that's when Russia moved to take Crimea, I believe. So that would make sense that Russian-backed separatists would be in conflict with Ukraine at large. Donbass. So I just don't see any articles of that stuff happening. I could probably dig further. I'm just not going to dig further right now. Interesting. Start a Twitter space, Brandon. I could start it. There's some really good Twitter spaces. I don't want to take away from the good ones. Live Russia attack is what you guys should be listening to. Some really good info on that. So you guys are both from Australia, Jimbo Sticks and Blue Bum. You guys are saying pretty much the same thing. Interesting. Yeah, 5 planes shot down. I saw that. So Bloombaum says sanctions have just made Russia stronger. They know they can't rely on the West for anything, so they work to become independent. They are a massive exporter of food and energy. And now Russia and China are in an alliance, so the West lead complete idiots. The West is led by complete idiots, or something to that effect. All right. Butter futures plus 550. We need a Putin NFT. I guarantee it's already there. Zelenskyy needs to get on a live space. Might compromise his location. It may. This wouldn't happen if Trump was still president. All those sanctions Biden just put on Russia were the same when Trump put them on Russia. Biden lifted all of them. He did. I do remember that. Moscow exchange suspends trade on all markets. That's probably going to be for about the next week. Okay. I want to try to get down. Yeah, MSNBC is garbage. I completely agree. It's crazy. Al Jazeera is garbage. MSNBC. It's snowing in Scotland. Blah, 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 blah. All right. America should not send our poor children to kill and die so that rich children can smoke crack with hookers while earning $50K a month for protecting oil oligarchs. You should write a book. That was creative. Good point. Biden is haunted by the rise of democracy too. Terrafin, my man. Mango Junkie, you should join the R2R Telegram. It's only up and to the right. You can only get. I created a massive amount of buy pressure for the Rags to Riches Telegram group. You can only get a link to this group from a Rags to Riches member. I believe Russia will not hold back. They're going to win hearts and minds. Let's go. Factcheck.com. My ass. Factcheck.com. Seems to me Zelensky's threat of wanting nukes was the final straw. It seems Putin also concluded that Minsk was dead, and Putin threatened nukes last week. He actually said that. Paid Russian trolls can't gaslight the world. They started this invasion. Our own politicians are more of a threat to us than China. I would not want to be in Australia. I might be in jail. I might be in jail right now if I was in Australia. Avoid foreign entanglements. Avoid them. Not completely all the time. Because we've seen what happens when we avoid it too long. Ukraine has been bombing those regions since 2014. I saw in 2014 when they bombed those regions. I didn't see a report after 2014 until this past year. Where do you get your info, Bloom? Share it. We'll check it out. Communism is when socialism runs out of your money. Socialism's like HIV, and then communism is like full-blown AIDS. It's just a progress. It's a stepping stone, and you got to do things to society to get them prepared for communism. Socialism's JV, communism's varsity. You can actually look back at a lot of my videos, and I'm broken all that down. Crimea voted to join Russia because Ukrainian Nazis were sent in to terrorize them. What? Is that right? Crimea voted to join Russia. When? Before or after the Russian troops occupied them? Crimea voted to join Russia. Let's see. Let's see when. All right, Crimea referendum status. Following referendum, states declared independence of the Republic of Crimea from Ukraine and requested to join the Russian Federation. On the same day, Russia recognized the Republic of Crimea as a sovereign state. The referendum is not internationally recognized by most countries, mainly due to the presence of Russian forces. Yeah, so I thought that was... I thought that I remembered that the Russian forces occupied Crimea, and then while Crimea was occupied, then they voted. So let's see what this says. Open link, a new tab. God, what a freaking nightmare, man. I'm scanning through this. Okay. Polling in 2008 by the Ukrainian Center for Economic and Political Studies, also called the Rozmakov Center, found that 63.8% of Crimeans, which they're 76% of ethnic Russians, 55% of ethnic Ukrainians, and 14% of ethnic Crimean Tatars, respectively, would like Crimea to secede from Ukraine and join Russia, and that 53.8% of Crimeans would like to preserve its current status, but with expanded powers and rights. Interesting. The Rosmakov Center states in a 2009 analysis that the second half of 2008 saw a rise in conflict. All right. So in the Q3 of 2009, 70%, 70% agreed that they should leave Ukraine and join Russia. 14% said no. Q4 was 67%. Q1 of 2010 was 66. Q2, 65. Q3, 67. About 60-some percent. And between the no's and the undecided, those are at about 30%, which makes sense because 76% of these people are ethnic Russians. That makes sense. It's good info, Bloom. Rags, there's more to this story that us plebs can't understand. There's always more to the story, but we got to dig. We got to find out. This is the type of stuff that it takes. We got to figure it out. Newsmax, good source for news. All right, let's check here. Democrats are losing the midterms. So they need a war. Democrats in the states? Is that who you're talking about? All right. Thanks, white dude with glasses. I'm watching EarthCam for Kiev. Everything looks normal. Let's check. All right, let's check EarthCam for Kiev. Let's see what we got here. Share the screen. Actually, we'll go here. EarthCam, here we are. See a lot of cars parked. I do see some cars moving. 36 degrees. Interesting. Now, this is San Francisco. We don't care about San Francisco. Georgia, New York, Georgia, Jersey. All right, let's do live feed Kiev. Webcam in Sophia Square. I'm surprised we're even able to see this. People out and about. Well, this is funny. Let's check. So the interesting thing about this is dated the 23rd at 11:34, which is like 18 hours ago. It's kind of interesting. Let's go back. Kiev. This is current. Is this current stream 3 Kiev? I don't know what Kiev looks like otherwise. It looks like I see some people out here. There's definitely not a lot of traffic going on. There are some people walking. I see a handful of cars. I mean, what's the population of Kiev? Downtown Kiev. Population of Kiev, Ukraine. Oh, 2.8 million. That's downtown. I might like to assume that there would be a lot more people than what we're seeing with downtown Kiev with a population of 2.8 million, right? People got to get, they might be trying to get out too. Let's do Kiev, Ukraine, HD streaming. I don't care about this. No. So you got some people on the streets. Looks like a lot of people are going this direction and nobody's going that direction. Got one little guy here. People hanging out. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Proof's in the pudding, folks. We got to check it out. We got to dig deep and figure it out. All right, let's check here. All right. We'll scroll down to the bottom here. He said he wouldn't attack the cities. Not saying it's all right, just saying the cities should be okay. Try smaller traffic cams. I once knew a Ukrainian named Kira. Are you Ukrainian or Russian? All right, checking. Cool. Dude, we got to dig, man. We got to find the truth. I'm biased. I'm severely biased because of the information that I get, but I want to find the truth. I will say that it's kind of interesting in my head. Now, I don't know a lot about Russia's track record over the past 10 or 15 years. They only really got on my map when I was in the military in 2014 because I thought for sure we were going to war. But I will say that I find it interesting that Russia has used opportunities to intervene for people that want to separate from Ukraine, for districts, etc. To the south, Crimea, the two other places where the separatists are. They're not really asking permission. They're just going in there and they're helping land grab. That's interesting. Of course, I think they would do that. I definitely have seen the videos of attacks. I don't disagree with that. I'm interested to see what these guys are saying in here right now. Yep. All right, let's check Bitcoin. You sick, twisted freaks. Terrafin, go to bed, man. All right, let's go to boom here. Hex is approaching our fun little trend line here. Let's find Bitcoin, BTC. All right, we have a little wick here. That's interesting. We'll go down here to 30,000. That's my next level that I'd like to see. Looks like we might do that. Okay. Interesting. Let's go to US futures. All I got to say, folks, just remember this. You guys remember the COVID scare and what that did to the crypto market? What if you'd bought that? Guys, be prepared to buy. If you can buy this stuff, buy it cheap. Because these are the types of situations. If this really is a bad thing and it does just go away quick and it tanks the markets, be prepared. All right, NASDAQ futures went down more. So NASDAQ futures are down 3.22%, which equates to about 10 to 12% in the crypto world. I would imagine. That's just me kind of thinking out loud there. Let's go to oil prices. Crude oil. Yeah, crude oil 102.97 still. Yeah, everybody's up. Crude oil is up. We saw that coming. All right, let's do a little let's do some Fox News, see what they're saying. Fire and fury. Ukrainians wake up to an all-out war as Putin bludgeons nation with bloody campaign. Let's see this. Very interesting. Very interesting take. U.S. Embassy in Kiev tells U.S. citizens to seek cover. This is I think the defense minister for Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba, to Ukrainians around the globe, Putin attacked, but no one's run away. Army diplomats, everyone is working. Ukraine fights. Ukraine will defend itself. Ukraine will win. Share the truth about Putin's invasion in your countries and call on your governments to act immediately. Interesting. All right. And what else is old Foxy saying here? All the same type of stuff. Yeah, they're bombing. They're hitting the airfields. They're hitting all that stuff. I'd be interested to see if they're still pushing. If they're going to push to Kiev or not. Kind of flex on Ukraine a little bit. Let's go to Al Jazeera, see what they're saying. All right, Al Jazeera. Russia launches full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Okay. A multi-pronged attack on several Ukrainian cities begins. Kiev accuses Putin of war of aggression. The war is a big disaster. Blah, blah, blah. Here's some photos. Let's check these photos. Okay. Military vehicle in the outskirts of Donetsk. A member of Ukrainian military in the region. Like, oh, shoot, got to pull up to work. I guess it's probably a reservist. Got a sawed-off AK. People in queue at the ATM. People are pulling money out. Lots of people trying to get out of the city. Cars leave Kiev after Putin authorized the invasion of eastern Ukraine. People, some carrying bags and suitcases, walk at metro station in Kiev. And I'm just going to say it like straight up. I don't believe anything I see anymore. How do I know this isn't a picture from like a long, long, long time ago? You know, how do I know? I don't know. People queue for fuel at gas stations. Smoke rises near town of something in the Donetsk region. Lady got jacked up. People take shelter in a subway station in Kiev. Fires seen coming out of a military installation. Interesting. All right. Yep. I saw that too, seeing live video of downtown Kiev. I saw that. Lots of people walking in and out. Yeah, I know. I can search the metadata in the pictures. Reverse Google image search. I could do that. Wonder if they know we're watching them. They have to know. Eye in the sky. In. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Anyway, we can look at the Israeli airstrikes on Al Jazeera. All right, let's look. What do you want to look at? Israeli airstrikes. Al Jazeera. Israeli airstrikes. Al Jazeera. All right, and let me make this visible. Okay. Arab League condemns Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. This is May 11th, so that wasn't. It's 2021. When is this? Israeli airstrikes. Oh. Alleged Israeli strike target sites near border in Syria. Independent reports indicated that targets of the strikes were near the Mardanet al-Bath, Rawana, I don't know, both located near the border with Israel. Syrian state media reported early Wednesday morning that Israel had fired a number of surface-to-surface missiles from the Golan Heights towards sites in Qatara near the border, causing some material damage. Independent reports indicated that the targets of the strikes were near those two cities, both located near the border with Israel. The strikes are the second alleged Israeli attacks in Syria in a week. On Thursday, a number of sites were targeted by surface-to-surface missiles. 2 weeks ago, an anti-aircraft missile fired from Syria set off rocket sirens. Okay. Well, what was the point? What was the motive? The Jerusalem Post. But that's not Al Jazeera. Here it is. Israeli missiles strike Syrian town south of Damascus. There they are. Any casualties? Material damage? No casualties. The shelling targeted a regime military post. Okay. Yeah. That pretty much looks, so we got it from both sides there. It seems like they have consensus amongst both. All right. USA had mostly peaceful protests while Russia has mostly peaceful invasion. Love you too, Terrafin. You low down dirty son of a bitch. Love you, man. Kiev seems okay from live stream. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell because we don't have any like perspective as to what it looks like before. Like, what does it look like at 9 or 10 a.m. on a day it's not being invaded? There's 2.3 million people in that city, and that downtown Skycam looked pretty. Didn't look like there's a lot of people around. With 2 point some million people. Yeah, all we can do is observe here. Let me plug my earpiece in. Here. Try to hear what they're saying in here. Ukrainian officials said there have been missile strikes in Kiev. Russian Defense Ministry says it's not attacking cities. I don't know. I think didn't we see some footage of Kiev being struck? Kiev. And let me search on here for you guys. Kiev missile attack. Let's go to let's see if we can see anything. Let's see if we can see some missiles hitting Kiev to confirm or deny that report. Come on. Come on, Ad. Come on. Nightmarish. MSNBC has to give us like 50-second ads because they're so broke. Come on. Come on. Okay. right, so here's that street cam that we saw. It looks pretty quiet. There still were people at 6:30. Yeah, so this was a couple hours ago, 3 hours ago, with that same cam that we were looking at earlier, actually. I don't see anything in here. The morning commute's going. Yeah, so this is a good. So we've got shelling here. We've got shelling here. We had shelling on the outskirts of Kiev, Lviv, Odessa as well. But I don't see anything. All right. Reports of cruise missiles, etc. hitting. I don't know. Let's find out. Plug in my Fed piece. Like my Fed piece. I'm just not seeing this, folks. I'm not seeing any video evidence or otherwise. Putin tank rolling the. Let's see. We're checking for some footage here. Devastating moment. Missile hits airport in Western Ukraine.
Alexa, start my day.
Good morning. This is Alexa Together, a remote caregiving service used with Echo devices that helps you care for your loved ones. Alexa Together includes urgent response.
Alexa, call for help.
Alexa Together allows multiple family members to receive notifications and stay informed about your loved one's well-being.
I'm coming over now.
Stay close to your loved ones wherever you are.
Come on. Ooh. All right, guys. This guy's in downtown Kiev. I'm going to put him live on here, guys.
What is happening? I went out on the street just to get a quick feel about what is happening. There definitely have been sirens that have gone off across the city. I've heard them. My friends and colleagues have heard them also. There is definitely a mass exodus outside of Kiev. I actually live on a street that goes directly to the airport outside of the city, and people have been going that way for hours right now. Also, people, there definitely have been confirmed, strikes across the country, particularly military installments. And so the Ministry of Defense has really confirmed that there's definitely fighting at the north with the assistance of Belarusian soldiers right now. But just to give you a feel of what's happening as I see it, definitely there's people walking around on their phones, checking in with each other, asking about what's happening, doing safety checks. And also there's definitely a sense of anxiety that's taking place, that's increased in, since yesterday even. At the same time, there's a degree of normalcy, so there's not massive panic. People are walking their dogs. People are getting on public transport, going to work. And the way I can describe it is pretty surreal. And so, yes, the country is under a protracted, extended attack beyond what's happened over the 8 years in a very significant way. But at the same time, here in Kiev, there's a relative calm, and I say relative calm in a sense that we know what's happening, but people are really, they're going about their day, but the anxiety that people are feeling, they're working through it because in many respects, the conversation is what can people do.
We've seen a lot of reports from multiple sources that Kiev is quote unquote all but surrounded by Russian forces. So you don't see any evidence of that on the ground?
On the ground, no. And again, that's important to keep in mind that things are happening by the hour. So definitely there are attacks. As far as the city being surrounded, that I cannot confirm. What I do know is that there are attacks with from the north with the assistance of the Belarusian military. But as far as Kiev being surrounded, no, I can't confirm that as of yet.
How big is the city relatively? Like from where you are, can you see the outskirts of the city?
Listen, so I'm looking out of my window right now, and I'm actually in a good location. I can't see the outskirts at all right now, so no, I definitely can't. No, so outskirts, no.
So there could be some credence to these reports. Maybe if those forces are several miles away from Kiev.
Yeah. So So here's the thing. I mean, depending on the fighting, because again, I don't know. I'm not out with I'm not with the Ukrainian military, and so I'm just still trying to gather information myself. So the northern border is about 2.5, 3 hours away. Now, here's the thing: if you're going up against resistance, that's not a 2.5 hour route or a trip to the capital. And so I have not heard of any of the city being surrounded. Now, here's the thing, though. I was in Georgia in 2008 when Russia attacked, and what their tactic was to be roughly 45 minutes an hour outside the city. So that definitely is plausible. But definitely, the military Russian military does have the capacity to get to Ukraine and Kiev in a relatively short period of time, even against resistance by the Ukrainian military.
You're saying you don't really see mass panic right now?
No, not at all. No, and that's the thing. It's pretty surreal. I wish this app had video, and I posted some video on my timeline earlier today just to give people a feel. The activity that I'm looking at right now outside of my window is, people usually, again, going to work. I see people, businesses are beginning to open because businesses don't open till about 10 o'clock here, and it is 9:45 So things are, yes, absolutely. Things are relatively normal. People are walking by, going about their day. But also, I'll tell you what I see. I see people with a lot of suitcases. That I do see that. People are definitely leaving. I've tried to speak to a few people going by, but a lot of folks were a bit anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety. Some people did not want to talk, but I'm going to be continuing to do some reporting throughout the day. But yes, definitely there is, relative calm. We know what's happening. This country is under attack. Even me, I'm trying to maintain my composure here, but it's relatively calm. Yes, very, very, absolutely.
Terrell, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to say, Terrell, we've been seeing reports of a run on ATMs and banks there. Is that happening?
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Yeah, definitely people are going out. Banks, there are queues at gas stations. That definitely is happening at the moment. And so one of the things, and the reason why that happens is that one of the things that happens during the war is disinformation attacks, cyber attacks. What's common, what happened here in the past is that there have been attacks against ATM machines and banking institutions. And so people are concerned about having access to cash. And so I know myself, I would choose enough money to where if I needed it on an emergency basis, I would have access to it. But definitely there is increased activity at ATMs and people making sure that they have cash on hand.
Terrell, how can we support your work and what you're doing right now?
What I hope, as far as supporting my work, I'm here and I have a PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo that I hope people can support. But also, I also, I'm an independent journalist, but I also care about Ukrainians here as well. And so I'm going to be posting links to the work that Ukrainians are doing here. And I'm not sure if I am, let me see here, this doggone app. But anyway, I think that I have a link to the work of grassroots organizations here that people can also support. I work independently, and yes, I could use the support for my work. But I can't help but say that throughout the day, I'll be posting links to other work of local Ukrainians because they definitely can use the support.
How long have you been there in country in Ukraine?
So I've been in Ukraine. Been here since January. Interestingly enough, I'm in a unique circumstance as a journalist here. So not only am I here to report, I do a lot of commentary, opinion writing. So you'll see I'll be doing some reports, but I also just write a lot of reported commentary just to capture the sense of what's happening in the country. But I've been here since January, and I came, interestingly enough, to start a tourism business. Now, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to go out and invite Americans to come to Ukraine right now, but I am launching a site so that Americans can visit this country in the summer of 2023. And I'm also, interestingly enough, I'm starting a business that promotes Hubsole modern fashion wear. So it's just a way that I diversify my economy here. But I've been in this country since 2009 when I won a Fulbright grant to work on a research project on Black Ukrainians and also to take a course in the Russian language. And in fact, I'm still taking Russian language twice a week. And another interesting thing is that I just bought a intensive Ukrainian course for the rest of this year in Ukrainian and Russian, and I plan on spending the entire summer in the Carpathian Mountains. So I'm very much I'm not here just as a regular helicopter reporter, and I've devoted my life to really developing a professional a business presence here. And unfortunately, when you have Russia as your neighbor, these are the types of things that you have to deal with.
Do you have any folks or friends who are Ukrainians on the ground there who wouldn't mind coming in here to talk to us?
Yeah, absolutely. What I'll do is I'll send them the link to this Spaces, and I'll get that started right away. Absolutely.
That'd be great. Yeah, we'd love to chat with them.
Absolutely. No problem.
I have a question. Are people scared there on the ground?
Yeah, there's some. So I'll just give you the perspective of my Ukrainian friends. People are taking precautions. Yes, people realize that this is the Russian military, but at the same time, there's resilience, and I have to say why that is. Back in 2014, more than 100 people who are peaceful protesters died. I mean, they faced down state security services that was sicked on them by former and disgraced ex-president Viktor Yanukovych, who is currently in Russia, seeking refuge from Putin. And so the people of Ukraine paid for their liberation and freedom with blood. They literally died for the freedom that is taking place here. And I have to say, one of the reasons why Putin is invading here, and I know people speak a lot about geopolitics, but that's not the issue at all. To be quite frank with you, this is not a geopolitical issue. This is not a NATO issue. The reason why Putin is attacking this country is that he is very fearful that the democracy, the advances in democracy and anti-corruption that are taking place here can spread over into Russia. And another thing is that the way that Putin talks about Ukrainians, it's very much hatred, and it's akin to racism. I know that people are not used to analysts or experts referring to Russia as racist, towards its neighbors, but that's very much the case here. And I just have to say this on your platform.
Oh,
because
no.
it needs to be said. But Putin looks at Ukrainians like white trash. He treats them like they're subhuman beings. And one of the things that people are not paying attention to in this initial speech about the recognition of Donbass and Donbass is when he talked about Crimean Tatars. He said
Dude, this poor guy, man. You could tell he's probably under 30 and university educated in America. Oh my God.
as Nazis, right? So if you listen to the entirety of his language, he has a very racist attitude towards the people here.
God.
And he always has viewed this country as an oblast. And this actually predates Putin. Even after the fall of the USSR, I'm not going to get into the 1994 Budapest Accord. That's for another conversation. But the main point is that Russian leadership has never fully accepted the sovereignty of this country. So back in 1991, after the
I'm not
USSR,
shutting it down, Finn. It's good content, man. It might not be honest or truthful, but it's good.
To quote unquote reorientate
Let's go.
Ukraine back into Russia's quote unquote sphere of influence. And one of the reasons why so many countries wanted to join NATO is precisely because of what is happening right now. They feared an invasion. And so I want people to have a very nuanced and complex conversation about what NATO is. I mean, people talk about imperialism, etc., but these Eastern European countries who joined NATO feared this. And so that's why Ukraine, over the past 8 years, I'm telling you, I came here in 2009. Now, this is a different world. The Ukraine that I saw in 2009 with Yanukovych in power, with Yanukovych power taking over, this is a vastly different society. And this is not in over 8 years. And it's actually a miracle that this country still exists. And that's what Putin despises. And through the lack of his capacity,
He works for me.
To provide to show Ukrainians and his neighbors that going into Russia's sphere of influence will be better than going into the West. He uses force. He uses brute force because that's all he knows. And Ukrainians definitely are going to fight to the death here. Malcolm Nance referred to it as white Taliban. And again, I know people are very mindful of this kind of colorful language, but I would have to concur with him.
Yeah. Even in his speech, right, he called them neo-Nazis, basically.
Yeah, he did. But
his exact words were, "There are people who are fighting in Ukraine that your fathers and grandfathers did not fight and
so
died
the thing
for
about
neo-Nazis."
Yeah. So I want to go back into this conversation about Nazis and settle it and settle this because look, the focus on
This will be good.
Ukrainians Nazis is a ghettoization of Ukrainians. You know, and again, I'm going to use a lot of references to the United States because the ways in which Putin describes Ukrainians is how white racists describe black people in America. It's kind of like saying that, when Putin talked about the Nazis
this is
in
embarrassing.
Ukraine, it's like Trump and other people talking about the thugs in Chicago. The way
Because there's
people,
thugs in Chicago,
stereotype
motherfucker.
Chicago is very much how Putin describes Ukraine, that land of corruption.
Hold on. All right.
And unruly people and unsafe environments. Ukraine is Putin's Chicago. And when you talk about and Nazi to Ukraine is like, Putin calling Ukrainian Nazis is equivalent to calling black people the N-word. And so, and the thing is that he drums up these old unverified fears. What Putin is doing right now is what I call Putin's critical Ukraine theory.
Critical Ukrainian theory.
Crises, and he's manufacturing lies about this country that do not exist. And he's creating a whole propaganda platform around it, literally about issues that and safety issues and concerns that do not exist. I mean, this is
guys. I gotta pause, guys. This is the only lens that this dude can see out of. He was taught to see and think. And he goes to a war-torn area where there's literally it's a war between two countries of white people, and he turns it into a Black Lives Matter thing. He's incapable of describing anything else but racism. War is racist. A war between two white countries is racist. And Ukrainians are Chicagoans. Ukrainians are thugs and they're Chicagoans. And that's how rich white people, aka Putin, look down on Ukraine and the people in the friggin' trailer parks. This is embarrassing. But you gotta listen to it. This will tell you everything you need to know. I've streamed for 2 hours and 14 minutes to get to this point because this is just proving everything that I've ever said on this channel.
My uncle is a South Asian who used to buy old machinery from Russian factories that were no longer in operation, former USSR, and the border. He got a license to do it. He had 4 Russian bodyguards. One day, they mugged him, robbed him blind, took his passport. And he was stuck in his apartment. This in 1990, in the 1990s, with nothing. So, like, I agree with that sentiment.
I agree with that
So listen,
sentiment.
right now, it's interesting. I'm going to one of the things. I'm just a brief digression is that
A brief digression.
There are gun shops around this city, and I live above one right now, and I see cars kind of parked. I'm going to, I'll be interested to see what the activity is down here because again, this place is full of gun shops. So that's just a brief observation. But listen, let me get back to the point about the Ukrainian Nazi. Back in a story back in 2009 when I was a Fulbright, I was stopped by police roughly a minimum of twice a week. I was stopped so often by police officers.
Oh my God.
That I stopped counting at 30.
Oh my
At one time, I was stopped 3 times, and it was all
Lies.
racial profiling.
Racial profiling. Oh my
And
God.
one story, and I'll be very short with it, was that I was going to Russian language class, and a cop stopped me. I knew that he was. I knew that this guy was going to bring me into the little cell in the Universitat metro station. That's where I was, and he put me into the back. His partner, and what I was told was that anytime a cop stops you, don't act like you speak Russian. Speak in English. Immediately, the guy said in Russian, "You're a nigger, and we know you're bringing drugs into this country, and give us your drugs right now." And so they held me, detained me pretty much for 30 minutes trying to look for drugs that I obviously did not have. I'm saying all that to say that after the Maidan happened, there was a major reform of police that took place here. Now, of course, the police have plenty of problems.
I'm not doing it. I can't do it. This is embarrassing. I can't even believe it went that direction, guys. I can't believe it. I can't freaking believe it. I can't believe it. I would be an incredible reporter. I would be an incredible reporter because I would get on in front of 5,000 people in a Twitter space and talk about racism against ginger people, racism against gingivitis, and the struggles that I've gone through my entire life in front of 3,000, 5,000 people while I'm in a country that's being invaded by Russia. I make it about racism, white on white racism. Oh my gosh, guys. I can't do this, man. I have no soul. That's a good point. Mango Junkie, no soul. I would be a really good reporter for war-torn areas. Because I would carry a firearm and I would probably fire back just because it's a good opportunity. It would pump me up. Finn Bear, I was a bit of gingerous, but you helped me, Rags. I can help some people. I can't help myself because it's genetic. With you, Finn Bear, you were just trying to play the part. You had the Rogaine, the color. Like I understand that, but if the drapes don't match the, that saying, we got it. That's right. Valiant brand, dude. Valiant, man. What is going on? All roads lead to racism. All roads lead to racism, man. Who would have thought? Who would have thought some random dude in downtown Kiev just made it all about him? I mean, I want to turn this on so bad because I want to see where it goes next, but it's not worth it. Oh my gosh. Finn Bear, I better be turning you, bro. Dippity dip time. Yeah. All right. Roads are racist. I was stoned as fuck. Did it really happen? That was a real conversation. Yeah, that was a real combo, dude. I can't do this, man. This internet stuff, I can't do it. Oh, Lord. Oh. Guys, I got to do it. I got to hear it, man. I got to hear it. It's so late here. I need to go to bed so bad. All right. What do we got here? Oh, I'm sorry, not 3,000, 30,000 people in this space. And he's talking about racism. What a great way to.
And know how to fight. And so the fact that the Ukrainian military would repel a Russian army in any significant way doesn't come as a surprise. And so this country would definitely put up a fight, which is why it was very important for the United States and the EU to send to send stingers and to send javelin missiles here. What Ukraine needs are anti-aircraft missiles to repel, so that so that they can fight off an air attack.
Javelin.
So the Ukrainian military needs as much anti-aircraft.
Dude, if you ever play Call of Duty, you know this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
They can get to fend off this country. Going back to the ATMs.
This dude has an IQ. He has an IQ of about 5.
An attack on the banking systems or stressing on banking systems. These are the things that happened during the early days of war, both for practical reasons and both for psychological reasons. Right, the fact that long lines and queues are a part of a psychological warfare tactic. So yeah, that all those things sound right. It did finally with the Azov Sea. One of the things that the listeners should know is that Ukraine is one of the biggest exporters of wheat in the world.
Wheat.
And so there's essentially no navy here in Ukraine, and so particularly it frails in comparison to Russia's, and so
it frails in comparison.
It doesn't have to touch ground in the south of Ukraine in order to initiate an economic embargo. So they can just shut off the Azov and Black Seas and crush Ukraine economically. And so so all those things were things that I discussed in my podcast several weeks ago. So everything that's happening here, for those of us who have been paying attention.
Bro, if that dude has a podcast, y'all better get me to like 300,000 followers quick. That's all I got to say. If that dude has a podcast, get me 300K real quick. I'll do whatever y'all want. I'll shave my eyebrows live on stream. I'll turn away from gingerous. Yeah, I can't do this, guys. I can't do it. We're not doing it anymore. Too much. But I will say, let me say this. Out of 30,000 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm getting a lot of followers just being like the number 8 person in that group. That's kind of cool. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry I put you guys through that, but it had to be done. Guys, we live in a screwed up world with a lot of really, we got ideologues running around everywhere. Little kids, man, that's all they've seen. That's all they've seen growing up. For the past 20 years, dude, it's gotten crazy. Thank God. Thank God I had some grip on reality before that shit took over. Good gosh. This is a handy way to cause global famine. I can't believe I'm not tuned into his podcast. Dude, you're telling me, man. It's got to be bots, man. He's paying those fools. How's he making money over there? All right. First off, the dude's an idiot. Second off, how's he paying for all these court? Like, how's he making income? How's he making income? How's he living over there? I don't think he's a Fed, guys. I don't think there's no way they would put him in there unless he's just straight up cannon fodder. They don't care what happens to him. Like, take a picture of the square once in the morning and once in the evening every day and just upload it to this website. Like, that's his job. And he probably gets paid like 3,000 USD a month. Jeez, man. Max, thank you for the light and cheerful topic. Old Hex-Ray. Yeah, he was shilling he was trying, dude. Somebody asked him, they like teed it up for him. They were like, so what should we do to try to support your work moving forward in the future? They were like, hey, why don't you go get some, you hear that one guy? He's like, go get some real Ukrainians and put them on the phone. We'd love to talk to him. He's like, oh yeah, I'm on it right away. No problem. Silence. And then he starts talking like 5 seconds later. I'm like, jeez. All right. Yeah. You guys want me to shave my eyebrows? I will shave every piece of hair on my face. I will shave it for $10,000 US on stream. Like, if it happened right now, I'd do it right now. Gone. Just gone. All right. Let's get Brandon to onboard the OG Copper Cob. Who the frick Copper Cob is? Oh, man. The global ginger person chat room. Okay. I hear ginger children, they sell for a lot on the black market. That's what I hear. I'm glad the internet did not exist when I was a child. 100% CIA. You ever seen Anderson Cooper's child photos with Gloria Vanderbilt and the picture of the Moloch burning Jesus in the background? All journalists are suspects. Gingers do have souls? Wow, that's impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. I'm dropping followers like flies. It just took a really weird, strange turn for the worst. I got to go to bed. I got stuff to do. I got to be productive. I got to hit the gimnasio in the morning. I got to get strong for Vegas. Okay? If you guys are going to Vegas, hit me up. I'll be interested to see. Dude, I barely have hair, but I'll tell you, man, for 10 years of my life after the military, people thought that I had zero ability to grow hair in my head because I was so poor. I was just bicking it every morning. Boom, boom, just Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. That was me, man. I looked like a mean person. All right, what's everybody saying here? Can't give you. Yeah, don't donate it to his dumbass. Jesus. Do not encourage that. All right. Peace, Ayatollah. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks, man. Finn Bear. Be good. Good night. Big Bad Wolf from the UK. Good night. Much love, Valiant. Mango Junkie. See ya. Good night, guys. Mr. Clean. Mr. Clean. Good night. Godspeed. Got family in Vegas. Good, good, good. Vegas. Dude, I've never been to Vegas, folks. So just somebody be prepared to bail me out. It's inevitable. I get tequila in me, I start climbing things. So, hopefully I don't die. Sweet dream, Bloom. Sweet dreams, man. Night fam. Ciao. Ciao, ciao, ciao. All right, let's count this thing down. Here we go. Erfin wanted me to post the Telegram link. If you guys want to hit up my Telegram, here it is. Otherwise, peace out, homes.